be able to see the difference in slow-mo. So we'll start with a 500th of a second. One thousandth of a second. A 2,000th of a second. Four thousandth of a second. And an 8,000th of a second. Let's have a look at the four fastest ones side by side just to see the comparison. This kind of stuff is fascinating to me. It makes me wonder how many people take for granted what's happening inside their camera when they take a picture. The fact that the shutter is made of two clusters of metal blades that at their shortest duration are moving right next to each other, allowing just the smallest slit of light to hit the sensor. This is also a great visual representation of why you need so much light for a high shutter speed shot, because the amount of time the light is hitting the sensor is so short, you end up with a much darker image. There are many types of shutter that a camera can have. This is a mechanical shutter, but there's also an electronic shutter which doesn't have any moving parts. In video mode, this will actually use an electronic shutter. It basically takes an image 30 times every second without covering the sensor. This camera's shutter is also a rolling shutter, which is the opposite of a global shutter. And what that means is that it doesn't actually take the whole image at the same time. You may have noticed from the slow-mo that the image is taken from the top to the bottom of the sensor. That basically means that whenever you take a picture, the top of the picture is actually older than the bottom by a fraction of a second. And technically that statement should be flipped, as everything traveling through a lens is actually upside down by the time it gets to the sensor. The electronic shutter on this camera, when it's in video mode, works in the exact same way. It takes each line of pixels from top to bottom because it doesn't have the power to take the whole image at once. And this can lead to some interesting artifacts when filming certain subjects. You may remember this video from a few years ago. I was blasting Dan in the face with a cork, and when I was editing the video, I noticed something really weird in the Canon footage. On this one frame of video,